Hi everyone, I'm Grandmaster Ronen Har-zvi. We'll be doing this exclusive video for onlinechesslessons.net from the World Championship in India, round number 7, Magnus Carlseen, Viswanathan, and I thought it would be best, even somewhat feeling and inspired, to do this recap for not a very exciting game, but still right here in the very beautiful St. Louis Chess Club in the boardroom, where not more than 2 months ago, actually to the date I believe 2 months and 2 days or few days, Magnus Carlsen won his last tournament before the World Championship battle. He played here with Levon Aronian, player number 2 in the world by rating list, Hikaru Nakamura and Gata Kansky, the 2 top American players, played a Sinquefield Cup, and it was here that, well, he won with 4.5 out of 6, most likely sitting at one of the chairs, either the chair I'm sitting or close to it, so somewhat inspired, but the game itself was, well, a bit less inspired, and a big question for Viswanathan if he believes that he can beat Carlseen that way. For people that have heard my commentary on ICC or even here in the St. Louis Chess Club, where I was holding some lectures for the event, I took a very firm stand saying that I don't think that Anand will win one game in the match. So basically I said the question is, if Carlsen will win, I think it will be over. +1, +2, +3, I'm not certain. In my view, if I really believe, and I do believe that Anand is not going to win a game, definitely not the way he's opening or showing up, I think this match is over. And I thought Anand should play d4, actually even from game 1. I wonder why is he being stubborn with e4. Kasparov was one of those mentioning him. Well, don't be that stubborn. Kasparov was the one that lost to Kramnik, making effort to crack the Berlin defense, what we are seeing right now on the board, knight f6. After game number 2, which Carlsen was black, where he played the Caro-Kann, in games 4, 6, and 7, they switched colors. After half of the event, Carlsen started with white. So games 2, 4, and 6, Anand was white, but now they switched it. So Anand got another white in game number 7. He's getting nothing. He's trying different versions, but really getting nothing. This time he's trying immediately the capture on c6, playing, well, some sort of exchange, a Ray Lopez version, but I don't believe this is really a version, a system possible to beat Carlsen. Carlsen just not losing those positions. This is a very hot line, if I can mention it, like everyone has been playing this, many games, recent games of Anand, Carlsen themselves, Topalov, Nakamura, Caruana, Queen e2, for example. Let's just show quickly a few examples. Anand played knight bd2, Queen e2, bishop d6. This maneuver is very important. Black putting the pawns on dark squares, and the knight is heading to one of those squares where it can aim to the d4 one. So either knight b8 c6 or knight e6 or knight f8 e6. In either way, I already prefer black here. This was Topalov Bakrov from the Grand Prix in Saloniki. Bakrov actually went and won with black. If not Queen e2, let's take it back. How about castle? Okay, similar idea actually to the game, and Anand with the white pieces. Nothing really. Very solid for black. Anand Naidich from Mainz 2009. Same. h3, another version, not allowing bishop g4. Okay, this is we can follow Nakamura Fressinet from a month and a half ago. Really super updated stuff. Bishop e6. That was Nakamura Fressinet. Of course, the pawn on e5 cannot be captured right now because of queen d4, and, well, those are out there. So white played queen e2, defending f2, but black just defends e5, and once again we see f6. Nothing really, and Freycinet held a comfortable draw. And we mentioned also, instead of bishop e6, castle. This is a game involving Anand himself, playing against one of the possible challengers to Carlseen, Fabiano Caruana. I believe Nakamura and Caruana are, well, maybe together with Aronian and Kramnik, but I would say they are definitely the youngsters in that group, and they will challenge for the World Championship sometime, most likely. Once again, f6, e5, just very solid, not that much for white. Anand held a comfortable draw. This was an old game, 4 or 5 months ago, I believe, from the Tal Memorial in Moscow. Knight bd2, bishop g4. Castle is the other major alternative, and we have endless amount of recent game. Anand-Carlsen in 2013. I mean, some of the blitz that was in Norway. Carlseen, Carlsen, Anand Kramnik from Zurich, Anand Kramnik from London, Anand Hammer. So Anand, many games for this. Adams McShane, Anand Aronian. I can go on and on and on. And Carlsen playing with white against BlackElo, Carlsen playing with white against Aronian. You get the picture. This is a very updated line. The big question is, what does white get here? Bishop g4, h3. Okay, most likely a novelty, or at least at high level a novelty. I couldn't see top games with this move. Take on f3 was played by Adams against Freycinet. We mentioned Freycinet before in the game against Nakamura. Take, okay, here black chose not to play f6, he played queen f6. I think many times we do see ideas of f4 here. Well, right now, of course, it is impossible, but in general, this is something that is a plan for white. Okay, long battle, and Adams beat Freycinet here in 2012. I think black had many different ways to play. Maybe looking once again at possible f6 at some point. But the interesting point is this bishop h5 move by Carlseen. And Anand chooses the simplest way of playing, knight f1. But when you're -2 defending a world championship game, I am just not certain that's the way you should go. g4, I think, makes sense. Bishop g6, of course, sacrifice is meaningless. And once again, the pawn cannot be captured because of queen d4, right? We already mentioned those two ideas right here. But, well, maybe a move like knight b3 and get the game going, and potentially playing against this vulnerable or weak, blocked bishop on g6. It is just one other system. I do believe that we will see again same maneuver for black, something like knight to d7, maybe not right now, but in the future. Knight to d7 followed by f6, and the bishop can get away with f7, right? This is an important maneuver. But again, you have to play that way. You have to play aggressive. Maybe Anand is given on the match. I don't know. Knight f1 is, of course, very okay move, but let's see the position that he got. Knight d7, so defending e5 and without any delays, well, preparing f6 and bishop to f7. Knight g3, and here Carlseen wants nothing to do with a blocked bishop on g6. If he can get f6 and bishop out, he would have played it, but if not, just immediately is exchanging. At first sight, it looks somewhat wrong. Hey, so black has double pawns, and white will play this position. But when looking at this position a bit more, there are no weaknesses for black at all. His pawns are holding the center. Where and what white is going to do here is really unclear. It's very similar in nature to the game Nakamura-Freycinet a month and a half ago from the Grand Prix in Paris. G6, you know, with all the excitement that there is or isn't, impossible to generate something. I want to raise my voice and tell you, and here this is happening and it's so exciting. Not really. Bishop e3, okay. Queen e7, long castle, exciting. Black long castle, so there is not even opposite castles, impossible to play on different sides of the board. Knight e2. Okay, white wants to be able to get d4. If white gets d4, then possible to speak about some advantage. Why? Because if white will get d4, let's say that we just get a very passive play by both players here. This, a6, and then something like that. Okay, in this position we can at least speak about some more game, because white has 4 against 3 on the king side. Indeed, white got something. He got those. Okay, let's give them. He got those pawns against those. By the way, this is a classical structure of the exchange in the Rey Lupez. Bishop e5, take immediately. Why white is better here? Well, maybe possible at least to get something to play. Carlseen didn't even want to. It's not that is so exciting, but Carlseen didn't even want to bother with allowing such a change in the pawn structure, and immediately went rook a8, targeting the e4 pawn. So if d4, the e4 pawn is just hanging. So no easy d4. King b1 was played, which is just okay. Let me just play king b1. b6, well, strengthening the c5 square in some way, getting the king an escape route from b7. I mean, black doesn't need to prove anything, it just needs to do healthy things. This is healthy. h4, okay, but black king is on the other side. King b7. For example, h5 is a possibility, but white might play bishop g5, go back, and now sometime potentially when g4 will be played, after capture, let's put the captures on the board, like that, well, the g6 pawn might be somewhat weak. So, something. Carlseen doesn't allow anything. Okay, you want to play h5, okay, go ahead. Take. Well, Anand had quite an unpleasant experience in game 6, where he took on e3 with the pawns and actually lost the game. He shouldn't, of course, lose the game, but he lost. Take with the f pawn is possibility, but again, where is it really leading if white cannot make effort to use some of his pawn majority, or have attempts to create something with pawn majority? Okay, and black is so solid. White wants to maybe play f4 at some point. Okay, a5. White broke on the h file, broke through. Okay, exchange. Very, very simple. Like, black is not wasting any energy on creating something. Take, queen f6. Okay, if you seen how this game continued, then you understand the big genius idea by Carlseen. Let's exchange the rooks also. f4 and rook h8. I mean, white cannot really get even 3 against 2. Like, I'm looking at the position and I'm thinking, okay, can we play something like f3 and then maybe exchange let's say exchange the rooks and push d4, like just to get somewhat pawn majority on the king side. But black is just going to wait and do pretty much nothing. I mean, white is not really going to get anything. f4, exchange the rooks, take. Okay, so I think white wanted to exchange the d pawn in some way, exchange the f pawn. Of course, d4 is not winning a piece, but more blundering the game because the queen is under attack. Queen f3, f5. And once again, now d4 is not a blunder, but after d4, simply queen e4, and there's nothing for white to show at all. c3, okay, getting the king into the center, knight e6. d4, sorry, d4 in my head, king c2. If d4, where is white's advantage here? Nothing at all. I mean, those four, this is the important part to really figure in the game. Those four against those four, meaningless. The double pawns, it's just equalish style. The only important thing was if white could have created extra pawn, could have gotten extra pawn on the king side, not in this position. This is not extra pawn, and this is pretty much nothing. Knight e6, king c2, knight g5, back. Alright, so what to say for Vichy? He's down 4.5, 2.5, and he needs to score 4 points to win the match. He needs to score 3.5 out of 5 to even the match. Considering that 7 games have been played and he only scored 2.5, well, I don't know how he plans to score 3.5. Definitely not in this style. So, well, this was round 7. Another somewhat disappointing performance, disappointing preparation by the world champion that, well, not making whatever efforts that one would think to keep the title, but once again, maybe somewhat he already gave up. We will see. Game number 8 coming tonight, and Anand with the black piece is gonna have, you know, maybe he can pull a victory, and then, you know, it will be interesting if Anand can win. If Anand is not winning tonight, I think it's not going to be that much more exciting match. I hope you enjoyed that, and let's see how the match goes on. Bye bye.